It is 14 minutes past 7. Good morning. After a BBC investigation found serious failings in the care of 51 young autistic people before they died, the Minister for Mental Health says she's acutely aware of the challenges facing autism services.
Nearly half of the deaths were identified by coroners as relating to mental health or suicide. Our reporter Ruth Clegg has been to meet some of those campaigning for change.
Skaters fly. We literally fly. We defy gravity.
Not only has skateboarding taught Rose to fly, she says it saved her life.
The feeling you get when you go really fast and everything, the adrenaline rush, it certainly helps with mental health.
After waiting nearly a year, Rose has just recently been diagnosed with autism and ADHD. And what do you think of this one?
It's all right, because I skate there, it literally goes up.
Yeah.
So you can't go very high on it.
For many years, she feels she's been misunderstood by her school, by her local mental health services, which could have proved fatal.
I know what it's like to be on the verge of suicide. Like, it's a horrible feeling. You don't want to die, but you have no other options.
I know that Rose said to me, if I'd been listened to by mental health services sooner, I wouldn't have got this bad. She was willing to speak up early on, and she did speak up, but she wasn't given the help and support that she needed.
Just a few weeks ago, our investigation exposed the serious and repeated failings in the care of young autistic people, and that's despite top-level warnings from coroners. Of the 51 deaths we identified, nearly half were mental health related. One of those was Stefan.
Happy birthday to you.
The 15-year-old died after being unable to access the therapy he so desperately needed. It sparked calls for his local health authority to take action to prevent further deaths. And following our investigation, the Minister for Mental Health said she was acutely aware of the problems facing autism services on a national level and said it was a government priority.
Autistic children are 28 times more likely to think about or attempt suicide than the general population.
To protect other young people, Stefan's dad is working with NHS England and is training the very services that failed his son. And when you put these figures in your slides and you show them to the people, the mental health professionals you're training, what's their reaction?
I think they're horrified, genuinely they're horrified. They don't want children to die, but they just perhaps haven't had the right training.
Tristan, a former Detective Chief Inspector, is also autistic. He says it's important to change how people perceive autism.
If you think people like Rose, people like my son Stefan, from an early age have had this deficit narrative aimed at them. You can't do this, don't do that, sit still, look at me when I'm talking to you. You need this help, you need that help, you're not human, you're broken. And years of that accumulating results in trauma.
And how worried have you been about Rose's mental health over the past few years?
It got really bad at the beginning of this year, and basically she had autistic burnout from sensory overload of being in school, not being understood. She didn't understand herself, we didn't understand, teachers didn't understand what was wrong with her, and yeah, basically because of undiagnosed autism and ADHD.
It's for the middle of that bit.
Oh yeah, that's it.
And that is for this section, and then that's for that section.
Rose is designing her skateboard her way. Her outlook of the world is nurtured here at this skateboarding academy in Kent, where autistic children still sit exams, but in a completely different environment.
But what colour was you thinking of your base colour for this? Did you have an idea?
Red, blue and yellow.
Red, blue and yellow?
Yeah.
Cool.
School was just so much more difficult. Like, when I went to school, because I don't really go anymore, I'd always want to go to my skate lessons because I'd know that the community and everything, it would make me feel better after a hard day at school.
This was his skateboard.
Tristan's son Stefan also found solace in skateboarding, one of the few times he could be himself. Tristan is now trying to change a system so all young autistic people can be themselves, wherever they are, whatever they need.
And that gives me a bit of a warm glow knowing that I'm doing something and perhaps leaving a bit of a legacy for Stefan.
No, he'd be very proud of his dad.
Need a minute. Yeah, I hope so. I hope he's sitting up there looking down on us and saying, go on Dad, make a difference to those other children so they don't have to go through what I went through.
Ruth Clegg reporting there. And if you have been affected by any of the issues raised in that report, help and advice is available on the BBC Action Line website. Visit bbc.co.uk/Action Line.